This conference will now be recorded.
It's red. Monday, July 18th, 2022 at the Town Hall, 4058 County Road N, Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. At 7 p.m. we'll have a public hearing for the proposed revisions to section 11.09 and 11.10 of the Town Code of Ordinance, Property Maintenance and Enforcement. Call the public hearing to order. Are there questions, comments?
So I got a question. How would the procedure go? Somebody files a complaint and then who takes over from there? Does it go to you? Does it go to the?
Go to the, at this point, the building inspector.
Okay. So then the building inspector gets called in, and if there's charges, who gets charged for the charges? Is that you?
He would write the ticket if there's a ticket to be issued.
Are you asking how does he get paid?
Kind of, yeah.
He would be charging the town an hourly rate for that.
Okay. Does the town charge it back to the person?
Not directly, but there's a forfeiture range for most of the violations. And if there was a case that involved significant cost to the town, I would factor that into my request to the judge as far as penalty. Ultimately, it's up to the judge, but my position would be the penalty should be higher if the violations cause significant cost to the taxpayers.
And the person's not found at fault, then the building inspector still gets paid.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill, question on paved driveways on page 3 of 9 at the top. There are some driveways in the residential district that aren't paved as of today. Would they be grandfathered?
Well, they would be grandfathered. The requirement only kicks in upon construction, remodeling, or expansion. So if the status quo remains, yes, then they're grandfathered. But if they do any of these activities, then the ordinance would be implicated and they would have to pave it within a year.
When they got that building for in addition to the garage or putting one up, that's when that would kick in.
Correct.
Even in addition to the garage?
Yes. Any construction involving a
Any construction.
Okay.
Okay, so is it meant to mean our housing areas?
In residential districts.
Yeah, well, let me just say, so now on Vilas, there's a couple houses that, stand alone on the side of the road and they don't have, driveways that are asphalted. Would they be included also? They would, but.
This is something we've never required. You wouldn't have to require that in this either. I mean, our driveway ordinance doesn't require it, right?
Correct. And that's one where, for your situation in townships, this is something that the board may decide is not appropriate for you all, only because you obviously have urbanized subdivisions where it totally makes sense, but you probably have rural homes and farmsteads too, where maybe it's not appropriate.
Let's say what I'm saying is subdivisions. I can see it in a subdivision, but
Right.
somebody that's, all standalone house on Vilas Hope Road. We would make them do the same thing as somebody that's in a subdivision, because I think most people in subdivision would do it anyway, basically, but that's the way I sort of took this. It would be subdivisions.
Yeah, because it says residential district, is that referring to the zoning classification?
Correct. Yeah, any zoning district that's residential. So if it's ag or commercial, industrial, then it wouldn't.
But you've got a lot of converted farms where they left 2 acres on a farm, and that would be a substantial cost for people like that to pave their driveway.
I would say if it said residential subdivisions, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, but then you're gonna have to define subdivisions, though.
Well, I don't think so, actually.
A platted
Yeah,
subdivision.
platted
Yeah.
subdivision.
Or do you even need that in this ordinance? Oh,
I think it would be, if the board's intent is to limit it to sort of urbanized subdivisions, I would suggest you change the language as proposed. Otherwise, you could capture, old farmsteads that, for whatever reason, happen to be zoned residential.
Yeah, I would think we'd just want the platted subdivisions.
Yeah, I would say so.
So then I have written, it would read, all driveways and properties in a platted residential subdivision shall be paved.
Yeah,
I'm looking at M on page 2 of 9. The exterior of all property shall be maintained in reasonable litter-free condition. All litter that is subject to movement by elements shall be promptly removed. There, I went by a house, one of the subdivisions, and there was they probably had, one of these framed canvas type place you park your car in or whatever
yeah,
in the backyard. And it's like the wind must have taken it and shoved it right up high up on the fence. And it's still sitting there. It looks like it's been there for 4 or 5 years, Would that be considered
yeah.
the same or?
It would, that section is more directed toward litter reduction. If you had, usually it'll be something like somebody puts their newspaper recycling out to the curb, but they don't constrain it, so the wind just blows it everywhere kind of thing. But it would still apply to anything that's subject to movement by the elements. So in your situation, it would still apply.
Okay, another one here on 4-9, a street yard. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a zoning term. So that would be the yard, the front yard for most people, as opposed to the side or backyard.
Okay, facing the street.
Correct.
Where are you?
Because it's on vehicles, no owner, operator. I didn't have any clue what that meant.
Yeah, the intent there is to prohibit people from parking cars on their front lawn.
No, I got it. I understand by what you just said. Yeah. I thought it was like on our, right away. That's what that's what I was thinking it was. So that term, I think, for the normal person wouldn't understand that if I'm normal.
Yeah.
Instead I throw it out. Whew, that was close.
Is that a debatable question?
Yeah, you watch it.
Just looking at Roberts, whether that was debatable. Yeah, I'm trying to think about what we could use. I mean, you could say.
Front yard.
A zoning, well, the problem with sort of front
Yeah.
yard is that you have houses that are on corners that, which one is the front yard and which one is the side yard. I would say, front yard under the zoning code, or front yard as defined in the zoning code.
Okay.
Isn't that where the mailbox is facing?
Fire number,
Yeah.
I don't know.
where your fire number's looking.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, because it always would be, it wouldn't be on the side, would it, your fire number?
It's always in the front.
We could do that. We could say that the yard upon which the fire number is affixed.
Because this house, we're just mentioning, also has a car parked. You got the front yard, and then along the edge of the house, it's parked actually on the lawn. It looks like it's been there for months and months. Actually, but it's on the side of the house.
We're specifically, what language are you?
so he's on 9A.
Oh, I see, in the street yard. So we could say in the yard upon which the fire number is affixed.
Mike, did you have anything else on vehicles and that you want?
I got a couple,
Because I have some also.
go ahead.
I'm looking at item 2, 3 I's. They remain at that location without being moved for no longer than 9 consecutive months.
Should say 2I. No, 3,
3 I's.
3I, sorry.
Oh,
Item 2, page 4. Item 2 under vehicles, but it's 3 I's.
I got that one circled too.
yeah.
Yeah, but what is movement? I mean, if they move it
Yeah.
6 inches, does that count?
Right, and who's keeping track of this? Do we ask Jacob to add this to his list of things?
Yeah,
Or a neighbor, or how do we?
on those things, obviously in urban areas, they chalk tires and all that kind of stuff. Something like this, the way what usually happens is we'll receive a complaint and I'll ask either the deputy or somebody to go out and photograph it. And then wait 9 months and photograph it again, and then there's a violation.
But how could you tell if someone moved it 6 inches or not?
You can't. I mean, usually the few trials I've had like that, you'll look at the hubcap and the orientation of it, or sometimes if it's a close-up where the fill nozzle is, and if it's at the exact same spot, the defendant says, well, they didn't see it every day, they can't prove that. And I'll say, well, judge, the nozzle's at exactly the same, 4 o'clock position.
Mhm.
I think sort of one thing that covers that is the next one where it says they are lawfully licensed and properly display license plates.
Right.
That's your right to have when you drive, then.
Yeah.
You got vehicles that are sitting there with no license plates on, it's a little different ballgame.
Yes.
I don't understand number 3 or 3I anyway. So all vehicles shall comply with all the following. They remain at that location without being moved for no longer than 9 consecutive months. What are they complying with? We don't want them to do that, right? It seems worded wrong to me.
Mhm.
Where are you at?
The same one.
Same one.
Same one.
What is that even saying?
Yeah.
They're not, they have to be moved at least every 9 months. Isn't that what you want?
No, you're right. It should read, they shall not remain. Location.
That's a good point.
Thank you, Kim.
And is 6 there, they are not used for dwelling purposes except for overnight. Is that like a camper or something we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
It sort of leads you to believe it could be a car.
It could be. I mean,
This day and age, anything with a roof.
Yeah,
yeah, it's more directed to the in-laws come park the RV in the driveway, and they can do it for 14 days, but not 6 months.
and then the vehicle stored on a side yard shall be parked with all points of contact on the surface, preventing the items from sinking. This is the other case I'm talking about. This guy's parked on the side yard, but it looks like it's been there and the wheels are down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's,
And that,
shouldn't be parked there like that.
right, and I've had sort of innovative people get around this by, they'll buy, 4 cinder blocks or, the landscaping blocks, and one's under each tire, and I'm like, well, okay, you're in compliance. The intent is obviously so you don't have one sitting there, it just gets in the mud.
It looks to me like generally the people that have this problem have a lot of other problems.
Probably.
Yeah, and we know, well, I know of 2 at least.
Usually if the car is like that, it's unregistered, hasn't been moved, like you say,
We did have Dane County came and looked at one piece of property. The guy is actually doing construction work out of his house. He's always got sand or something in his driveway that he's using, and he buckets it up and takes it where the job is or whatever. And he comes back and puts stuff in his backyard. And Dane County come out and said, well, he's okay. That was a couple of years ago. But with this, You couldn't do that, correct? You couldn't run a business, a construction business out of your house.
Well, that's a matter for the zoning code.
Yeah.
This is just a property maintenance
So
code.
this is a residential house.
Yeah, if he's operating a home occupation out of his house though, under the zoning code, he'd be permitted to do that. Presumably, he wouldn't be storing sand in that kind of occupation.
And 6B. Interior of all vacant building structures and all exterior areas of the property shall be maintained in a safe and sanitary condition. Page 2 of 9.
2 of 9?
Yeah. But I'm more concerned about rodent environment, harborages, infestations, animal feces. You know, are we gonna, like if he's got outdoor cats, are you gonna, when the cat poops in the yard?
Yeah, the cat would not be a rodent or environment. But it does say animal feces, so if there was an accumulation of cat feces, it would be in violation. I would not prosecute, nor do I think the deputies would write a citation for a single incident of cat feces. You know,
Well, what about mouse droppings and?
I think it's the same thing. I think it's a matter of sort of officer discretion and prosecutorial discretion, where it would need to rise to the level of being a nuisance or a health issue for citations to be issued.
So don't come to my house and look at the coon droppings that are scattered all over the farm.
Oh, I got a coon up on my roof too, so it's just.
It's supposed to be 9.
I had a question on I. So when it comes to something, when you're out in the country or out of, you know, I could see, in a subdivision or a plat where some of that stuff might be appealing. But out rural roads and that, is it really that gonna matter that much that this will become a nuisance, or what you'd call it a nuisance?
Depends on the neighbors you live with.
Okay, so we are talking about discretion.
Where you at, Ellen?
Driven.
I, on this page,
It's the same
The same one.
This first one.
2 of 9.
2 of 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one, sir, is, I mean, when you talk storm sewers and that kind of stuff, I totally see what you're saying, especially in a township. 99% of the time, it's not an issue. But, you could have a situation where, a guy runs a French drain onto the road, the water goes onto the road, it's freezing conditions, and it's right next to a kid's bus stop, or, something like that.
Is that an I or?
That's, yeah, I'm reading J, all private storm sewers and building storm sewers.
But if you got property and you're back off the road and somebody complains, I mean, nobody's gonna go in and say, hey,
You're
that's
back
not
off-
right,
You're back off the road. They
Right,
don't have any
yeah.
right to complain about how
No.
your property.
Almost everything,
This is on page-
like these things, it's almost all in a subdivision where somebody complained. We've had like 4 or 5 complaints in the last 2 or 3 meetings.
Mhm.
And it seems like every time we have another, it's funny, there's nobody here tonight about this, but maybe he might be, because he lives next to one. But these are subdivision problems,
So there
basically.
is discretion.
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay, cool. Good.
These property maintenance ordinances, more than nearly all other, I mean, all ordinances have a certain level of officer discretion, but these property maintenance cases, way more. I mean, because we're very sensitive to, a lot of this stuff is very subjective. You know what I mean? I mean, if something is a rodent harborage, everybody has mice in their house. That doesn't make everybody a violator. But if there's an abandoned house that is full of mice and they're sort of infesting the neighborhood, that's a different matter. And where the line is drawn between one or the other is sort of the officer's professional judgment.
Because, and I hear what you're saying, Bill, but part of the issues that we have over on Vilas to the north, the neighbor dispute, basically. All right. what conditions the female portion of the neighbor dispute, is expecting from the male portion of the neighbor dispute is that the house next door to her should look like her house. Everything's trimmed up, everything. Come over to my subdivision where you can't even see some of the houses because everything's wooded, there's undergrowth, underbrush. So the idea of somebody expecting to have a golf course for a yard, or their impression of the golf course, you come over to an entire, even yours, Christie.
I know.
I mean, it is heavily wooded. There's, some people don't even mow their yards because of the fact they're keeping it natural or whatever the correct term is these days. And I don't think that either the people who have the wooded lots should impart their impressions on the golf courses or vice versa, kind of thing. So, that's going to be, how do you
Well,
even
but
deal with that?
And these are all good suggestions, but can't we see, like, give the building inspector a couple months to see how many people this affects?
Well, it's not like they're gonna be out looking for it. It's
No,
out-
that's what I'm saying. A building inspector's got a lot of other stuff to do.
Yeah, but he's gonna, the reason to change this is to have somebody that's a quicker response than going to the board. And so he's got a couple, we have at least two complaints now that he's gonna have to get on as soon as this is official. I think, some of these things might seem excessive in some places, and I think that
Well, that house on BP is another example.
The one right across,
From Boyd's.
yeah, right, yes, correct.
Because those weeds are up to the window ledges right now.
Yeah, Steve, is all I can say. It is, I'm very cognizant, and I think the deputies are too, that the town is not going to get involved in sort of perception issues and people's expectations. I am a firm believer that we as the government have very limited role. Unless somebody is violating an express term of our ordinance, it's a private civil matter. And if they have covenants, they can sue each other for violating the covenants. If it's a non-covenanted subdivision, but there's a nuisance, they can bring a private nuisance action and they can sue each other till the cows come home. But the town's not going to get involved unless it's a violation of an express provision of this code.
And I will say that just having people come in here and complain about each other, it seems like what started this, that guy started to clean up his area. Because I think he knows that, maybe I'm not doing as good as I could be doing,
It's on
so.
BB you're talking
So
about?
I think that it's a help thing in a way. If they know there's gonna be something done, because you gotta take care of your property.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, most of these property maintenance codes, it's about giving the code enforcement officer options, not obligating or requiring him to take any action, but give him the option to do so in the right circumstances.
And it'd be great if it's never used, the whole ordinance, period.
Absolutely. Yep.
If they can see the ordinance, what it says, I think most people are gonna go, whoa, geez, I'm not taking, I better do a better job taking care of my property.
Right. We hope.
And these are, I have probably a few every year where these are daily violations. So, it could be $118 a day, say. And I've had, like I say, a few every year where by the time it gets to court, there's $30,000 in accrued fines. And I will say to the defendants, the town does not want your money. The town wants compliance.
Yeah.
Clean it up and I'll reduce that $35,000 significantly. But if you don't, it's a huge hammer over the defendant's head,
Well, what do we have to do, or how does the building inspector get authorized to write tickets?
So the ordinance does allow enforcement for the building inspector.
So what did you use?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
as far as applying it, So usually the officers probably, what do you guys use, tracks or, yeah. So they also have books, sort of the old school books before computers that the building inspectors are issued. And I think you can buy them from state, I think. You guys might not even use them anymore. Yeah, you can still get them, and they're the carbonized things, and they're totally legal. It's just not, it's not entered into a computer like they do with the traffic stuff. It's a handwritten citation, and you can buy those books from, it's either Department of Administration or Department of Justice. I can find out if you'd like.
Okay.
Any more discussion?
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by DePlay, second by Williams to close the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Town board will hold a public meeting immediately following the public hearing. You can also join the meeting by GoToMeeting. We have a quorum present. Meeting was posted at the town hall and the website. Call the meeting to order and we'll stand for the flag pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You have the minutes of the July 5th meeting in your packet.
Move approval as presented.
Second.
Motion by Williams, second by DuPlay to approve the minutes for July 5th as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Finance report and approval of bills.
I move approval of checks 35577 through 35602 be paid.
Motion by DuPlay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Anders. Motion was to approve checks 35,577 through 35,602. Any discussion on the motion? Deb, the 286,000 that replaced what we had used out of town funds?
That paid for the truck and the chipper. For the note, that first installment, is that what you're referring to?
For the first fire truck.
Yeah, the one that was just bought with the village. That was the town's
Yeah.
version, yeah.
And then the, we got the 2% fire dues, and you put that in that separate.
No, because that, my note said that was gonna be used towards this truck. Is that the wrong one? But the fire dues, we were applying to
The 2% dues,
the,
for
yeah,
fire dues.
last year's and this year's, I thought we were applying to the purchase of new trucks.
I don't remember that.
I'll check.
I didn't think we did that either.
We did?
That's what you wanted, right?
Yeah, because you guys were out of compliance, so you put it into a savings account specifically for fire truck.
Okay,
We did?
I know we put it in a separate account.
No.
So,
Okay.
All right.
Well, how about do we have the chipper? You got the chipper?
Yep,
All right, okay,
picked it up today.
great.
If there's no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hey,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. You also have the unaudited cash investment balance of $2,810,248.60. And you have the June building permits.
Move approval of the permits as presented.
Second,
Motion by Anders, second by Fonder to approve the June building permits as presented. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And you have the note on July court docket, and you also got the June financial statement in your packet. And
I can have the per diems by next Friday. I'll be on vacation the following week, so I'll be here for that next meeting.
So you want by this
Next
Friday?
Friday?
Yeah, no, this, no, sorry, next Friday, the 29th.
Thank you.
And then, is the road work, did we pay for all the road work? Not yet, okay, because I was wondering if I should go out for bid on that yet. But we probably don't have.
You'll have a majority of it done by the end of this week.
Okay. So, never going to send out.
yeah, I suppose you should and see what we can have for either probably August 15th, we would be done.
Yeah. Close. I don't think chip seal will be done yet, but
Depends on the weather a lot.
Try for August 15th.
it might be.
I think the last sheet on here, the court docket,
Yes,
very interesting. I think it's received 6 payments from the state debt collection agency of $1,361. That's money we wouldn't have got before, right? Or-
Right.
That's correct, right?
Yep.
And so we're,
making headway
yeah.
and collecting.
So are we still in the black as far as our court money? Are we paying anything into the court system anymore from tax money, or is it
Oh,
is it paying for itself basically?
We're like $50,000 in debt to that account.
I mean, how much are we taking in like in a year now? Any idea? That's what I'm asking. Are we getting, we were at one time, we were in the black for a short time. Oh, yeah, we were.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
We
I'm
were.
asking.
That was a while ago.
Yeah,
We've taken in $23,985 in law and ordinance violations through June.
so I think we're getting pretty close if it's costing us 50 grand for the year. Is that correct? Or
So.
I'm just asking. That's the question. That'd be good.
Okay. Next item is public concerns, public's opportunity to speak to town board about any subject that's not a specific agenda item. Online. Road right of way permits.
Two, both from Charter, one for citation courts, the other one was Oakwood Drive.
Christie's neighbor.
Looks like they're just replacing.
Oh, sure. They marked that months ago.
They have to see what's in their way before they even decide to do anything. They're gonna decide if they want to board, if they want to keep it aerial.
They board them all.
They're gonna,
Motion to approve both charter requests.
Second,
Motion by Anders, is there a second?
second,
Second by DePlay to approve both right-of-way permits for Charter Communications as presented. Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We have Josh here with police activities in June.
So didn't have the stats from Mike, but I should have been able to compile everything and let you normally get from him. First page will be all calls for service in the town from contract and regular beat deputies, and then they're itemized on the back page there. And then I was able to break down traffic stop. So the next page will show you what citations and how many were issued on all of the stops that were made in the town of Cottage Grove. And then, huh?
we have road rage.
Yeah, anytime somebody complains if somebody else is driving poorly or. Next page should be Town of Cottage Grove calls for service. So that's just us responding as contract deputies.
Like 38 speeding tickets, over 55.
Where? So that was 38 stops were made on a road where the speed limit is 55 miles an hour. So N or 12 and 18 or any county highway like that. And then any speed limit 25, 35, 40, whatever, anything that falls under 55 would be the exceed speed zone and posted limits. Should be on the far left. Then your next page should be just the tickets that were written as contract tickets, so municipal court. Should be broken down by every ticket that was on there. The unknown offense, one ticket was voided that showed up, and then I looked at the other one, it was a burning complaint that was issued. And then the last page I got was just something I thought was interesting. So for speed citations, I listed the mile an hour zones and tickets that were written by both county and then by us. So 25 mile an hour limit, average speed was 36. There was only one car that was stopped. 35 mile an hour zones, vehicles were traveling roughly 51 miles an hour, high of 59, and then on the highway. 72 was the average speed, stopped a couple cars doing 96.
Oh,
crap. Hopefully those were on 12 and 18.
They're both me and they both were.
They both were?
I don't sit out there, but for whatever reason, I will be driving from point A to point B and somebody will go past me and.
wow.
So the bottom one is just us writing the tickets. So yeah, the average speed in 35 mile an hour zones is just over 51 miles an hour. And the average on any of the 55 mile an hour limits is just over 79. It's almost 80 miles an hour of the tickets that are written.
It's still pretty fast.
So for anything in a 55 mile an hour zone, if you're doing 25 or more over, your license is suspended by the state. So anytime someone stopped at 80, their license is suspended.
Great. Didn't know that.
2 weeks, right?
Yeah. It would make more sense if you're doing 25 and 25 over and a 25, your license would be suspended, but it doesn't work that way. So
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow, yeah.
other than that, big calls, Connery Construction had somebody siphoning fuel out of one of their trucks. And then the person that was doing it, we sent an email to the department and people recognized him. So he was arrested for that. And then Graham's, the auto body shop, had somebody steal a catalytic converter off one of their cars. So we've been kind of in those areas at night.
Okay,
Wow.
If there's
Thank
any
you.
questions on anything or.
I guess not.
All right.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next item, consideration of deputy request for additional speed limit signs on Vilas Road, 35 miles per hour.
Where do they
What are we
want
thinking?
Of adding the 2 signs that she's requested
where?
on Vilas Road.
Where?
North.
North. Yeah.
Yeah. Jacob, do you?
Can I speak on this subject, please?
Yeah.
Since I live on Travis Road. Thank you. If you could, from BB to Gaston, there is 9 speed limit signs on that road. 9. you have 3 35 mile per hour signs going north, 2 going south. I live on that road. I don't think additional signage is warranted on that road, given the fact, well, look at your speeding. They're going to speed. So if you're going north on Vilas, you'll see a 45. You'll round the curve, right before the curve, you'll have a 35. Right past Lane, another 35. Up past Valley, another 35, then a 45. Okay. Coming south, you have 45. You route right on the curve, 35. Down just past Valley, another 35 to a 45. I don't think another 35 mile per hour sign is going to help one bit. Traffic has been slower thanks to the deputies out there, which is we appreciate. But if you are going to put another sign, it's up to you. But I live there. If you're going to put one north, can you put it on the 2 vacant lots or something? So I don't think, I know myself, I don't want a speed sign in front of my lawn. You know, I got a golf course lawn. So I don't like to see it, but that's just me. But I don't think another sign. People are going to speed, and if they don't know what the speed limit is, they had how many chances? And it's going to end. It's like 7 driveways, and it's back up to 45 south. So I don't think another sign is going to help one bit. That's just me as a resident on the road. You guys, but there's 9 signs on that road. So, and
I agree with them, you know, because I go down that road twice a day, and I just don't, unless it's somebody that we're trying to stop that doesn't live here, or, you know, it's somebody from Milwaukee trying to go over to 12 and
it's
18 or
intent of
something.
driving.
Yeah.
So you got another ticket right there.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying, you guys, I mean, it's your choice, but I mean, I live on that stretch, and I mean, you got 9 signs already. So, I mean, that's just.
Withdraw my motion.
I'd like to speak to this too. I also live on Vilas. You can put it in my lawn if you want. I have, seriously, I have an almost 4-year-old child, and we're terrified to let him play on our driveway because it's not safe. As you heard, people are going 50 miles an hour down that stretch.
But see, they already got the signs up though, but how, the signs aren't going to physically stop the people.
Exactly.
And I agree with
Enforcement
that.
is out there, and it's not the sign. You have plenty of signs. I have a child myself. There's others. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, it's displayed well. The township, you guys had orange flags on the 35 mile an hour signs. You guys did a lot for that stretch already. But that's just my opinion.
I know at least one of those signs, there's trees that cover it, that when you're coming around
we cut
from
that.
Gaston to
trim
the
that.
other way.
We just got those.
Okay, well, a lot of times those are hard to see. I think the orange flags were helpful. If people aren't paying attention, they see the 45s, they're not thinking about it, they're not paying attention, they just fly through. And the police have sat in our driveway. We've actually volunteered to let them sit in our driveways because we're tired of the speeding.
So that's your driveway.
We live in the- I'm proud to say it. My child, I want him
I
to
see him
live.
there, yeah.
You know, and we have reached out to them and told them to come sit in our driveway because we're tired of it. And they'll sit there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes at most, and they've got somebody. Sometimes it's 5 minutes and they've got somebody. So, I mean, if a sign can potentially help, if the police officers feel that that's a tool that they can use, put it in my yard. I don't care. And if there's other things that people feel can be done to slow people down, I'm all for it. I'm here for it.
We've had the 35 mile an hour, you know, Lincoln sign, and we've had that
And
out
that
there.
actually helps. I felt that
I
that
lived
helped.
out there now, what, 24 years now. And just by that 35 mile per hour sign, that zone that was created, there's more, I mean, it's helped tremendously. I mean, I
agree. You're right.
What really helps, and it's not just the deputies. I'm not saying deputies write tickets. A stop, that wakes up people's attention. That gets people's attention. The visibility, but the deputies can't be there all the time. When you have a deputy or a southeast deputy will sit in my driveway, it's the visibility and it slows people down. You're gonna speed no matter what. That's probably your number one complaint in the township is traffic, speeding. But look at the speeds. There's signage all over. But you already have, and I'm just saying, it's just. I
The
don't
stop
see another
signs
sign.
don't do any good.
No, I'm not saying nothing with stop signs, but I'm just saying.
Generally, is it not correct that a person that's standing in their yard, when they see a car go by, they over predict the speed by quite a bit?
So the average citizen who's not law enforcement trained, I mean, I've seen it where they misjudge the speed or they're doing 60. No, they're doing 30. I mean, law enforcement is trained, but I'm just saying you're going to have those few that are going to go. But when you sit there and you go south and you go through 235, going north 3, what is another sign going to help? I'm just, but I know it's a minor thing, but I'm just throwing it out.
But I think
My
we've
question would
done,
be, what is it gonna hurt though?
At the last Dane County Towns meeting, we had some traffic engineer from Town Code, was it? Speak to the group, and he admitted signs don't stop traffic. If you want to slow down traffic, you need to either put tabletops for roundabouts or those V-shaped things in an intersection where they have to physically slow down to go around them. But he admitted signs don't get them to slow down.
but I think we have really pared down the amount of speeding on violence, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, it was 45 till 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah,
But now with the creation of the stoplight there at Bus, Gaston is just tremendous traffic there, but they're going to Bus because they use that light now. Because you can sit all day at that cockeyed intersection, which they refuse to redo, even with the BB, whenever that's going to start.
Yeah. We could do new flags on them because we took all of them off when they faded after that first year.
After the first year.
Yeah,
How long in life do you get out of the flag?
about a year.
summer, probably.
About a year.
If you're gonna,
How do you put them on there? Is there something to put them on there with,
Yeah,
or?
there's a bracket we put on, just
Oh,
stick them in.
maybe we should just do that again for a little bit and see what happens there. I'll make that motion. Do we
Second.
put the flags on the
Motion by Founder.
35 signs again?
Play to put new flags up on the 35-mile-an-hour signs
You can see
on
what happens.
Violet Road on the north side of EV. See if that will help reduce this.
They don't read it. Yeah, I even put myself on Waze that I'm sitting there and
Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Put that on your list to do this week.
Get ready.
Next item, consideration of adoption of ordinance 2022-7-18, adopting an amendment to statute 11.09 and 11.10 of Town Code Property Maintenance Enforcement. We had the public hearing on. So is there a motion?
And I would make the motion to accept the ordinance with the comments that were brought up at the changes that were brought up here today.
Second.
Motion by Fongers, second by Duplay. Do you have those listed?
I do, and I'll just check with Kim and make sure we're both on the same sheet.
Yeah. Shall not and platted residential subdivisions. Something else.
The fire number instead of front yard.
Yeah.
Or street yard. Kim spotted a missing number at the bottom of page 4. It should read subsection 9, not subsection 4. And I believe that's all.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, consideration of an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Cottage Grove pertaining to the reconstruction of Clark Street. We got all the various paperwork. And they didn't find anybody, basically. Houston's is doing the work. We did not have the contract, so Bill drew up a agreement that would be between us and the village. They get them to,
It's gonna approve by the village.
they're gonna approve until we do.
It's on their, the
It's on
topic
their
is on their agenda, but I don't, but not specifically the agreement, but they do have it,
Yeah,
so.
And that price with Houston's is what Houston told you our portion would be.
for the town portion of the
Yes.
road, yes.
40,000.
I think they said that's the maximum. They're hopeful they're gonna find better conditions and it would be less. That's why it's
Yeah.
drafted such that we're just gonna reimburse the village whatever the cost is. And we get to approve the change orders and the invoices before they're paid.
So that came from the village or from Houston's?
Houston's called me last Thursday morning and told me what they had found.
Well, it hasn't been much done to it for a lot of years, actually, that little piece there, but
Right.
where's this money coming from?
Well,
Gonna talk about that or?
we'll have to decide that.
Mhm.
I would suggest ARPA, but
Why not? We're gonna have to budget somewhere down the line for everything else, but I mean, we're using all we've got it.
the village is paying for the blacktopping. We're not. So we would just be paying for this base.
We're not gonna pay for the blacktop?
No, they are villages.
What happened there? There's something wrong.
They were being nice.
Are you serious? Smart.
The JJ said.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
I made sure I
Wow.
emailed.
I'll move approval of the intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Cottage Grove.
Held froze.
Second it.
And will you say where the money's to come from?
ARPA funds.
Okay. Motion by Duplace, second by Williams to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the town and village Cottage Grove for Clark Street, and that the funds come from our ARPA funds. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next item is consideration of amendment to the Urban County Cooperative Agreement.
You might have noticed that they wanted this by the 13th. I did confirm that they'll be fine with that if we get it to them by tomorrow. So, we didn't get it yesterday.
What have we gotten out of that? Any idea?
No,
I couldn't even think of anybody that's even put in for it. Maybe there have been, I don't know.
But it gives them the opportunity
Yeah,
to,
but do
if we do.
they know about it, people? I don't know. Can't hurt anything, but
Yeah,
We can watch, we could sign it and watch it for another 3 years and base our opinion then on it.
we probably don't know because they apply it to the county and we never see it.
I think it's worthwhile. I move approval of the amendment to cooperation agreement.
Motion by Williams. Is there a second?
second,
Second by Fong to approve the amendment to the cooperative agreements with the Urban County Cooperative Agreement. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next item, consideration of attendees for the Dane County Towns Association and Dane County Planning and Development meeting on July 28th, And that's at the town of Dunn,
Down, done.
7 o'clock. And go
Now what the heck?
I'm not able.
Ward. Make that motion.
Yes.
Motion by Andrews, second by DeClay, to allow 4 members to attend the DCTA meeting on July 28th. Who's driving and where are we meeting?
I can drive.
Here,
We can meet here.
meet here 6:30.
Sure.
All right, next item. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is consideration of a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, parent 1, parent E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session. Response to the notice from Reliant Fire Apparatus Incorporated of a surcharge to be added to the contract price for the Kenworth T880 tanker that's on order. Motion
Second.
by Williams, second by Duplay to go into closed session. Munger. Anders. Hampton, aye. Williams.
Aye.
I,
Duplay. We're going into closed session. Is it all right if the fire chief and assistant stay?
Yes.
Is it okay if we have
Real quick on the ticket or the calls for service, the one that says about the squad car, it was not a town squad, it was a Dane County squad.
It's your first closed section.
It's exciting stuff.
you might want to spend some more ARPA funds here.
You might want to stay. I didn't mention that. I just want to make sure it's okay that I'm here.
Okay.
Lock the door.
So the recording stop then?
Yes.
We've stopped the recording and then we also have to. Up at the top, there's a little.
This conference will now be recorded.
Right over
There
here.
we go.
I'll take a bow. And before we get to Public Works, I think the abutments on Uphoff are all done. At least one is done on Femrite on the bridges. There will be a meeting tomorrow at 1 to go over where they are again. They were on schedule last Tuesday, so other than Friday's rain, I don't know if you had anything else, so we'll move to clerk.
The Badger books came today. We
The
were-
what?
The Badger books.
Oh,
They weren't supposed to come in time for the election, so they waited until an hour after I put out my schedule without them. And they told me that they were coming. So now I'm just scrambling to get them up and running, figure out how to use them and train all the workers by August 9th. So, but they'll be a great addition, so. And Amber's doing good. I think she likes it.
She's still smiling
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, she's dealing with me.
You haven't seen the good side of him.
You mean the bad side?
That's
Not
what
the
I
good
said.
side. I thought you said the good side.
that's it, Kim.
Yeah, that's it.
Board reports and communications. Everybody saw the email about speed bumps.
Yes.
Yeah. It's sort of like the, speed limit things, all we've done for that road.
I didn't. look at my mail.
Oh, yeah, they want smaller, somebody that the lady saw in Europe. Man, it's a different kind of hump. And It's not a bump, it's a hump.
Hold on, Damascus?
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't look at my email today, I'm sorry.
But you'll stand by, if you have 20 people come in and
Yeah, but
question you a little bit, they don't,
there's no one here.
but you might think about it a little bit, but one person ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah, but if she could get 20 of her neighbors and they could all say,
I would have to think that most of those neighbors are pretty happy the way.
I think they are.
I think no news is good news.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think they're happy with what we've installed there.
We didn't have any, or you had emergency government.
Oh, yeah, we've got, I talked to Kim this morning, our SOP is, we're about ready to sort of put a whole copy together to, Mike was there and I think it'll be pretty easy to do. And so we're gonna,
I think we made all the corrections that we needed to.
it made it a lot more simple, the whole
Be it easier to.
appendix, so that worked out pretty good. And Flint Hall Committee, the Land and American Legion, we bought a reconditioned stove. That one in the kitchen is terrible. And so we split for a couple $100 a piece, so. And because, you know, we're probably the only people that really use it unless it's leased out or something, so.
Right.
But the oven hasn't been working and one of the burners doesn't work, so we got together and it's gonna be delivered tomorrow. So
Okay,
that's it.
all right.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by DePlay, second by Williams. It's non-debatable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I need a drink. Oh no, all the bars on this side of town are closed.
and shut it down before you start saying stuff like that.
Oh, you're on record now, Mike.
You didn't shut it down? Now you're in trouble with me.
Oh, man.